I just found out that my favorite boss of all times died a couple years ago. I talked to his son, and he gave me the sad news that Boris Mikhalkin had died. He was my boss when we were at the Postal Inspection Service together from about 1972 to 1977. He was the administrative officer. I was the procurement officer. I worked under him, and he was a character. In 1972 terms, he was very typical back when you could be a little bit sexist and a little bit racist. That was not uncommon, but he was not bad in any way whatsoever that way. But he was what I call a pipe smoker. And a pipe smoker is one of those people that when you go to them with an idea of some sort, they generally want to go pick their pipe and they go, "Not so fast there, young man. I'm not so sure that's a good idea. We might want to rethink this one." It was just basically just what pipe smokers do. And he was a pipe smoker, and I loved him. He was a character, and we became very good friends. We'd play tennis together, and we'd walk at lunchtime together. And he was just a guy that I got along with well. Other people might have seen him as a little bit crazy or intimidating or whatever, but he was fine. I'll tell more stories about things that involve him later. Yeah, I know this is a Don Ray winging it project, but there is a winging it element to this, so I'll make this story work. Boris had the authority to purchase just about anything. I had the authority of, I think, of about $200 or something like that. So anything above that, I would have to go get his permission, or somebody else would go to him to get permission. Well, so it was that one day, two of our electronic technicians came into my office. These were Postal Inspection Service employees who their job was to install alarms and hidden cameras and things in post offices around Southern California. Anyway, they came to me and they said, "Hey, Don Ray, we found the greatest bargain ever on a toolkit, a suitcase toolkit." They said, "We've been using number 3 postal mail bags to carry our tools. And we've always wanted to have one of those like the ones that the IBM repairmen use, a suitcase type thing that had tools in it, a small one." So I basically said, "All right, well, tell me about it." And they said, "Well, they normally run about $500, but we found a place here that can get it to us for much, much less, under $250. Can you order it for us?" I said, "Yeah, not really, because my limit is 200. You'll have to go to Boris." And they go, "Oh no, not to Boris. He makes everything difficult," which is what people like Boris would do, pipe smokers. And basically he liked to make people run around a little bit and stuff. But this is where this episode here is where I learned a technique that I would usually teach people, which was instead of asking for somebody who is difficult, asking something from somebody who's difficult, to somehow find a way to use the words "you were right," because those are magical words. And I would teach that a lot later and use it myself. So anyway, I said, it's not all over with. You just need to go to him and get 3 bids and show him that the one you're looking for is cheaper. And he said, no, you don't understand. We already got the 3 bids and we know this is the cheaper. I said, do what I say. I want you to walk into Boris's office with these 3 bids when you get all 3, and walk in and say, "Boris, you were right. We did find it cheaper." And they said, "Oh no, Don Ray, you idiot, you don't understand. We've never talked to Boris about that." I said, "That doesn't matter. You just have to know Boris. Go in there and say, 'Hey, Boris, you were right. We did find these toolbox that was cheaper. You were right." And they said, "Well, but that," I said, "just go do it and come back to me when you're done." So they came back a little while later and they said they walked in and said, "Okay, Boris, we did it. We got 3 bids and we found the lowest bidder, and this is the one that's the lowest bidder." And they said, he looked at us and he said, "I told you so." And then he reached down and he signed the purchase order for it. So the whole point was that when you know you got a pipe smoker and you know that it's his job to be saying no to stuff and make people run around, and then you can get your way. So that was my little winging it. I taught these electronic technicians how to wing it. Everything worked out fine, and Boris would remain my friend forever. He lived farther away, so I did go to see him, but it's been a couple decades, and he was still playing tennis and still ornery as ever. And I can tell you that Boris Mikhalkin was a guy that I loved, and I miss him.